So I'm Ann McCormick. I'm the supervisor at the campus, and my colleague Kris and Kathie over here. We're happy to be here, and we're really pleased to follow the presentation from Prince George. We can really identify with what's going on there, and it was really exciting to hear your project. And so you saw the map. We were a little further north than Prince George, and but we're really not the heroes of this project at all, by any means. It is our youth, and they really were the change makers. We just happen to be here to talk about what the project was. So under your chair, the students have gifted you with a t-shirt, some sunglasses, and a bag that are left over from their project, and they'd like to share it with you. Please feel free to put the t-shirt on if you like. And Kathie's just put on her demo here. So in case you want to be part of the team here today, or anyways, you're welcome to take it home, share it with somebody, gift it to someone, or just think about the project that we're going to talk about today. So what is the Aim High, Shoot Higher, Be a Star, Students Taking Action Against Racism? What is that? This was a forum that happened in May 9th in 2012. And it really was about youth dialogue that would bring 450 youth together from Fort St. James to talk about racism and intolerance issues. And youth traveled from Vanderhoof and Fort St. James and our 7 First Nations, and Fraser Lake, and our First Nations send greetings as well to the community here. And they came to join their peers in Fort St. James to come and talk about in dialogue. And so, again, we're in northern BC, and our students do not see each other, but they know they have commonalities between our 3 communities and our 7 First Nations, and they have some of the same concerns. And our students all participated in the Multicultural Days in November, as well as they participated in our events for eliminating racism in March. But it just didn't seem to do it for them. They just kept coming back to us and saying, something's still not right. And they had questions, and we weren't sure how to answer them. And we couldn't quite figure out how to answer what they were feeling and why they were so vulnerable. And they couldn't figure out, was it a racism issue? Was it like, did they have a personal diversity issue in their class? Or was it just a new teen culture that was happening to them that was traveling up from mysterious Vancouver? Or just, what was it? We weren't quite sure.
Hello? So the background of the project is, as Anne said, the students were quite uncomfortable. There was almost a palpable tension in the communities. And when I sat down to write the grant, I wrote it from that perspective to Embrace BC. Is this where I'm asking the questions?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. So asking questions of yourself, what would you do if a 20-year-old man or young man in your community had murdered a 15-year-old girl in the community next to you? What would you do if your daughter was best friends with that boy's sister in your community? What would you do if you went to school in the neighboring community, grew up, and your childhood neighbors are now the niece of a 20-year-old girl that's gone mysteriously missing in the summer? What would you do if you grew up in the neighboring community and a couple has just lost their 20-year-old son to a horrific murder? All they found so far is his head, literally. These are all the things that precipitated why we did STAAR Day, because the kids in the school system knew or were related to all of these happenings. And I sat down, or didn't sit down, I had a call to our school district superintendent and principals for Vanderhoof's High School, Fort St. James High School, and Fraser Lakes High School, and said, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to write a proposal. It's called the Youth Dialogue, Embrace BC. It's to talk about racism and intolerance. And can you think about it? Because just as the previous speaker said, there was job action going on. So they went away, came back, we had another conversation. They said, yeah, this is a good idea because the kids are as I said, they're deceased here. We know that there's a lot of tension amongst them because these are incidences that have touched all three communities. These kids know Lorne, who died. They know Cody, who was charged with the murder. They know Madison, who disappeared, because they're friends of theirs, or they watched them graduate, and they have no control over any of this. And the principals came back and the superintendent came back and said, yeah, write it, Kris, we'll make it work. Because my way of making it work was we needed all the kids in the school system to come to Fort St. James and be part of this. And I refer to it as my $50,000 day because that's what it cost us to put it on. So we got a $25,000 grant from Embrace BC, and then we leveraged that with further funding and in-kind contributions.
So we just want to give you a quick snapshot of what the students started to do. And the college, we supported the students from behind. We did some of the legwork, but really it became a youth project, a peer project. They were the ones that were drivers, and they let us know what they needed from us. So the youth are our best resource. They're an amazing resource. We don't have to look any other place. We just need to ask the question and help them answer the question. They have peer supports. They take control. Just ask them, empower them. And they did. They're creative. They created this display, and they reached out to the rest of the region. They came up with a concept: aim high, shoot higher, be a star. They had something to focus around and gather around, and then they reached out to the other schools and the other reserves and all the alternate schools in our region. And they sent the message that they were having a star day and they wanted everyone to come. And they also created some codes of conduct and things that they wanted to share with other students. And we ask you to share this with us as we read it. To treat everyone with respect, to always include other people, young and old alike, to help protect others, to not participate in bullying, harassment, or abuse, to listen to and honor others when they say no.
And the second half is, you have the right to be treated fairly and with respect, to be included, to feel safe, to be treated to be protected from bullying, harassment, or abuse, and to say no to behavior you don't like or want.
So they started to work together, and the plan came together. It was the most amazing plan. And I think one of the biggest challenges we had was, with the group, is to sort of try and put a lid on it. So because they wanted the moon, but as the plan gelled, it was really great. And these are some of the things that we can just show you some sponsorships that we had.
So as we said, the grant was about $25,000 from Embrace BC. We were able to leverage that with an additional $25,000 of in-kind and financial contributions. And these are our sponsors, as I said, United Way of Northern British Columbia, the District of Fort St. James, the college itself, Fireweed Collective Society, Integris Credit Union, Interior Helicopter, Mount Milligan. And this is a list of other contributions from other businesses or community members. So it was a considerable positive buy-in. Winnie Corn-Miller was one of our 2 keynote speakers. Delhi to Dublin was the entertainment. Troy Payne was the other keynote speaker. And these were all choices that the youth themselves made. And so when they made their decisions, then I had to go hunting for the dollars to get those people here. So the kids were involved in creating the poster as well.
And so the day came. And it's amazing what happens when the day came. The students were pumped, they were ready. We had volunteers from the community, we had security, we had 450 kids that were coming from across the region that probably had never seen each other before, maybe at the hockey game or a soccer game, but they'd never really talked about a dialogue and talked about being vulnerable and looking for ways to solve problems. And the buses came, and the students started coming off the bus. They just kept coming, and they got T-shirt at the door, and they had to put T-shirt on, and they got their bag, and they were excited. There was a buzz in the room, and they didn't really know what was going to happen. You know, in the organizing committee, students were so excited, and they didn't really know what was going to happen either. But there was a buzz, and then the music started, and everybody was the same. Everybody had the T-shirt on, everybody was the same, everybody felt the same way, and they were ready. They were ready for something to happen in the room. And the resilience and the peace that we were looking for started to happen.
So we thought that the first thing that the kids should have to do is wake up when we had this event. So we actually had Delhi to Dublin be their introduction or their morning alarm clock when they got in. We staged this in the arena facility in Fort St. James, which was donated for our use. So Delhi to Dublin played their first set first thing in the morning, and that definitely got the kids up and jumping around. Then we had a welcome by our chief and mayor together, and they also recited the pledge that you saw, that we referred to earlier. Winnie Kornmiller talked about her story of resilience and the challenges she went through. More Delhi to Dublin, and Troy talked about the challenges he faced as well.
And there was lots of chance to get up and personal with our guests, and there was lots of chance to get up and personal with the other colleagues and the other teachers from the school. And so it got to be a great event, and it sort of, the momentum kept building in the room and kept building in the room. And so the momentum carried on throughout the day. And we have a few comments about what some of our participants said. This is Chief Fred Sam and Ann Sam, our school trustee.
And one of the principals of the Fraser Lake School, we invited lots of feedback, and his comment was, "STAAR Day was a fantastic day, and the students at FLUS returned energized and empowered to make a difference within our school and their home communities."
So Fred, as we call him, or Chief Fred, really appreciated the activity. And as you can see here, he really enjoyed the music. And he was in the mosh pit too, actually. But don't tell him I said that. And of course, we have our young fella here was such a cute fella. He's from the community of Tlasden. And one of the comments that one of the workers said from Nakazi First Nation, she says, "I often see conferences where they are solely First Nations focused, because in our communities, we have 4 First Nations. I think our school population in our entire region is about 65% First Nations. We often see full complement of First Nation students, but here we saw a blend of students and everybody coming together, and it was a great way that the school district worked together." And also from a member of the Tackle Lake First Nations, he said, "There's so much potential here for students, and to take a look at their perspective on society and the inequalities in society and work together collectively." They're lots of fun. And of course, we can't do it without the school district. They gave us the school buses, and the school buses came free. And here's a comment from one of the teachers, Kelly Inden, and she talks about appreciating the broad-based commitment for youth from the community. We can support from behind. We can really help our youth to move forward. And so this is great comments.
We also asked for feedback from the students that attended. We got about 88 students feeding back to us, and this is their lingo, not mine. How majorly it affects people through their lives, and not to give up on something solely because of your nationality. That was a message that one student took away from the day. Another said it's wrong just because people are different color or not like you doesn't mean you have to hate them because they're different. And another one said, "I took home that racism is everywhere and you have to help stop it."
And so then what was the legacy? So here's a few pictures, and then we'll talk about the legacy. So if you're wondering what we're doing out there, we all flipped to see who got to go in the helicopter to take the pictures, but it was actually snowing that day when we were out there, and now it's snowing again. And so there was 450 of us out there on the field. And this is our legacy. We have had these posted up in posters, and it's gone to all the communities, the reserves, and the schools. They have some posters and legacy in their school. The students went home, and then one of the administrators created some curriculum to ask some questions that were sent out to all the teachers so that they could debrief with their students and look forward to what the next action plan is going to be in the community. And this is the poster that we created.
The poster was then translated into a plaque, and Kathie's got one she can show you. She's just walking between. So some of our key contributors each received a plaque. And actually our high school principal for Fort St. James has said, who made that and how do I get that into a really big size? So he's actually commissioned the same company to put this into about a 24 by 36 inch size, which he will have in his post in the school.
So yes, us adults, are more resilient from there, but they are also more resilient. They take away common resources and link this continued support through the region. They recognize that social inclusion of all youth in our region will bring them together with one voice under the STAAR banner. The youth are strong, and there's going to be many events to follow, and they've got plans already, and they may be smaller events, but they are going to continue. So this was an exceptional project put on by the youth in Fort St. James.